Welcome to Groups this week. As a church, we exist to help all people become fully devoted followers of Jesus. And we believe doing life together is a crucial part of that journey. Now, during this time, we're going to unpack and dig deeper into the sermon we've heard this past week. Let's dive in as we continue to grow in our faith, knowledge, and love of Jesus together.
All right, Sam, here we are again.
Here we are.
We're second week of Advent, and we're actually kind of sneaking something in here because we're actually starting a new series.
That's right.
We're going to be going through the Gospel of Luke, and we'll unpack that a bit more as we head into the new year, I'm guessing, about what it's going to look like to go through the Gospel.
We'll be in Luke for a long time.
We're going to be in Luke for a long time, so there's, disclosure there. We'll talk a bit more about that in the next couple of weeks. But this week we're looking at chapter 1 of Luke, and looking at the story of Zechariah and Elizabeth, and this promise of someone like Elijah, someone coming like Elijah.
From Malachi chapter 4.
Right. So can you give us kind of a quick summary or a layout of what's going on in chapter 1 of Luke?
Yeah, there's lots there. So the story of Zechariah. I mean, I think where you choose to start a story is really interesting. Like, because playwriters and authors spend so much time working on that first scene.
Right.
And every gospel writer started in a different place. Mark starts actually past the Christmas story with John the Baptist in the wilderness. Matthew starts the genealogy. Luke chooses to start not even with the birth of Jesus, but with this old, really normal, average couple who'd actually spent the majority of their life in waiting.
Right.
For, in their case, yes, waiting for the long-awaited Messiah, along with all of Israel, but also praying and crying out to God for a son. Yeah. And so we see that. And
it's almost like a microcosm of what's going on with Israel.
That's a good way to say it. And so the first part of Luke chapter 1 is really unpacking their story. Right. And so Zechariah is a priest. He's also married to the daughter of a priest, and he is has the honor of his life. So every priest had the opportunity once in their life to bring the incense and the prayers of the people into the Holy of Holies, into the temple. And so he's doing that. As he does that, he has this incredible encounter with the angel of the Lord, as it's described, and which I think there's so much there that we could talk about as well. He's doing his rituals. He's in this place of encounter, like where the presence of God dwells in the temple, and yet when God shows up, he's so startled, he's so thrown off. I think that's interesting, and maybe points to even the reality that many of us can wrestle with.
Oh yeah, especially in this season, right? Like we have all the framework of what we need to feel the feelings, to feel all the feels. Yeah. And we think if we sing the right songs, if we have the right decorations, we've got certain traditions and nostalgia that's attached to it in our home. Yeah. But often you can get past it all and you go, well, I went through all the right practices. Yeah. I started the music on November 12th. Yeah. And that's my own.
Yeah, you're a big Christmas guy. I am as well.
Well, 12th is the rest of the family. I actually start on the 1st of November. But anyway.
Oh, so you go before Remembrance Day.
Yeah. But we digress. But anyway, you can have all that kind of stuff in place. But if you're not abiding in or tethering yourself to the gospel narrative, you get to the end of it and you go, where was the hope and peace? I'm just anxious.
So he has this encounter with this angel who tells him that God has heard his prayers, which again, I mean, we could pause there and just say, like, which prayers? That's what he was even wondering.
For himself or for...
He was praying a prayer as he was doing the incense there, right? So the prayer for the long-awaited Messiah, the prayer for the cleansing of his own sins. Wow. And the angel clarifies and says, the prayer that you and Elizabeth would have prayed many years ago for a son. Yeah.
So why do you think he has that issue of doubt there? Like this has been the whole purpose of his prayer. And Luke begins by saying they were obedient, they followed all the laws, they were righteous. Yeah. So how then, let's maybe attach this to us. How can we do all those things and then still end up being people of doubt?
That's a good question. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think maybe it does point back to the issue of is if we can have all the framework in place, we can go through the motions. Yeah. We can have a therapeutic version of faith. But unless our goal is more Jesus, so and that can be, it's not just the Christmas season, it's throughout our lives. If we're ignoring the goal is always more in our prayer. So let's take Zechariah's praying. Any answer to prayer if it's not more Jesus, is always going to be secondary. The best thing we can walk out of, whether it's healing, whether it's deliverance from something, the greatest thing we can always walk out with is more Jesus. Yeah. And so if that isn't the goal and we're stuck on the peripheral, then we can walk without, because we didn't get those things side things that we asked for. That would be my quick answer.
Well, and he was praying for a son. But God answered that prayer in such a bigger way than he could imagine, where his story intersected with God's massive story, this cosmic story of redeeming a people to himself. And so their son that they had been praying for ends up becoming the one who is going to prepare the way for Jesus. And that Jesus himself will say, there's no one who's been born greater than John the Baptist.
Right. Wow.
And so they're praying for a son. So And that's important to them, and that matters to God because it was important to them. Yeah. But he answers their prayer in an even greater way than they could have imagined.
Yeah, my goodness, yeah.
And there's this intersection point with God's story.
Yeah. Okay, so plenty in there. So what can we take from this story as we walk in Advent? Not in just this Advent season of Christmas, but actual Advent. We are awaiting the second coming of Christ. What can we learn from Zechariah and Elizabeth?
Good question. I mean, here's a couple thoughts. One, we read these stories, in one quick sitting, and we read 20 verses, in 90 seconds, which was decades of waiting. Right. Yeah. And so they were faithful in the waiting. So I think there's something there of while we're still, in the middle of the meantime. between where we are and where we believe that God is calling us to go, or things that we're asking him for, or whatever it is in your life. It's this call to persistence, obedience, and continuing to come back again and again. So ritual, oftentimes we talk about ritual as a negative thing,
right? Oh.
And there's an element of that we have to be careful of. But I would also say to some where it's like you get leery of ritual coming back, like maybe there's some people who you think about just even the practice of coming to church or going to community group or singing the songs again and doing these things, and it's like I just keep showing up and I just keep I'm still waiting, and so I think maybe there's something in that too of like just keep showing up. There's something.
It's the long game.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's all forming us, and God's working in the waiting. He's working in the meantime. Yeah. Anything you would add?
Yeah. No, I don't want to add that because that was a really good bow tied on that. So we'll leave you with that, and we'll see you next week.
Hope you enjoyed the teaching today. If you're wanting to follow along with the community group's discussion guide with your group, you can head to cachurch.ca/media, where you can find the discussion guide. Not only are there questions there related to the sermon, but there's also prayer prompts that relate to the passage or the topic that we were talking about, and practices that you can, on an individual level or a group level, begin integrating into your life to not only bring the knowledge into your mind, but to begin living it out.